So the point being, books don't sell themselves, so you have to be your own salesperson. I was asked to do a presentation for people who are interested in becoming published authors. So we titled it, Is There a Book in You? I gave my advice. I talked about the fact that I do it as a passion, not as a way to support my family. If you live in Wellesley, you've probably heard about this book because I start small. And so Wellesley Western Magazine had an article, and all the Wellesley papers had an article, and the Wellesley Report even had an article. And I do school visits now. So every time I do a school visit, I call the local press. I try to also, for this book, where the publisher did nothing for us, American Girl did nothing for us. For example, I reached out to Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day, the organization that runs that program, and I thought this is a perfect book for it. And I, sent them a copy, talked to them. They adopted it as an official book that year of Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day. This is a community that I'm part of that I want to give back to, and if there are people here who are trying to figure out how can they make a step into publishing, I want to tell them what I've learned. Not that I'm any expert, but just what I've learned might help them or might inspire them. So once they buy the idea from the book, the manuscript from you, they have the rights to pick the title, and if it's an illustrated book, they pick the illustrator, unless that person is one and the same. So another thing you'll see now when you see what they're looking for young adult novels. They're also looking for picture books where it's illustrator-author combined. And you have to be top-notch at both. It can't be like, well, I can kind of paint. This woman went to Rhode Island School of Design as an illustrator. This woman's from Belgium, has won like $50,000 awards for her illustration. She's now in Quebec. They're the real deal. My last book, Razia's Ray of Hope, One Girl's Dream of an Education, is a true story of a girl in Afghanistan. And the Hosseini Foundation found it, read it, loved it. So this is the Hosseini of the kite runner fame, and they've adopted my book into their curriculum, and they've asked me to work on another book with them. He asked me, would you write another book with me to target my Liz? Yeah, really, to target the issue that really is the issue that's near and dear to our hearts, which is returning refugees having no shelter. And then his wife said, but would it be okay if his name was on it too? Khalid Hosseini would like to work with me. Just saying that is pretty amazing. It's all about network. The way I found my first agent, believe it or not, is I was interviewing Judy Rosenberg of Rosie's Bakery. Has anyone ever been to Rosie's Bakery? Yes. Yum, yum. And she was like, oh my God, I wish there had been a book like this when my daughter was that age. And she started telling me all her woes about her drifting daughter who's 30-something. And if I had had a book like this, she'd be on a better path and all that kind of thing. And she said to me, do you have an agent? And I said, no, not yet, but I know that's the next step. I'm just putting together what I'm going to, even entice an agent with to take me on. She said to me, well, I've published 1 million cookbooks and I work with the best nonfiction agency in Boston. Can I introduce you? And I looked at her, I said, oh, yes, you can. So that's, if I hadn't gone to meet her, if I had just sent her an email, whatever I do, I try to do face-to-face with people because I think people will respond to people better than they respond to just, your type coming through the digital, cyberspace. That's just my belief. But it's a lot of time and energy. So my words of wisdom is make sure you have another source of income, A. My other words of wisdom are reverse engineer it. So if the kind of book you like to write is of a certain genre, then go look for books in that genre, see who the publishers are, see who the agents are, see who the authors are, and try to find people who will speak to an unknown, which is hard. You don't have a lot of bargaining power if your name isn't J.K. Rowling or, a big name. So you typically get between 5 and 7% royalty. And the amount you get up front depends on how big of a publisher and how big of a print run. The other thing I say is think about it, Rome wasn't built in a day. There's a lot of, overused phrases, but the point being that you really do need to take step by step by step by step. If I could start it at midlife, they can start it at any stage they want, and I've had some real great success. It doesn't happen in one leap, even though it might look like it from the outside.